In today's note, we are going to look at the measures of spread. And before we get into that, we're just going to look at some terminology, just of some things we are going to be looking at as we go through the note. So the first is quartiles. And what quartiles are they are three values that divide a set of data into four equal intervals. So basically three numbers that divide our data into four equal parts. The range is the difference, or you can read subtraction. So the subtraction between the greatest and least values in a set of data, or in other words, the highest minus the lowest. A box and whisker plot is a graph that represents the first quartile, the median, and the third quartile of a set of data with a box. And then the least and greatest data are represented by lines or whiskers extending from the box. And you can see an example here. So again, it might not be something that you deal with in the future in your own career, but this type of graph is represented in the media. You do see it in the news. They may try to portray data like this, whether it's in an article or a paper. So it is helpful to know what it is that we're looking at and to understand, so that basically if we're presented with it, we can read it. The interquartile range, as well as the range of the central half of data when the data are arranged from least to greatest. And then it's basically a measure of how closely the data clusters around the mean. And again, that's what a measure of spread is. Right? We talked about a measure of central tendency in our last lesson, and that was basically the common trend. The measure of spread, or a measure of spread, is basically how spread out the data is. So this is important as well, because basically it's telling us how consistent are our numbers. Are they very close together? Do they all fall around the same value? Or are they spread out? Are they inconsistent? Are they all over the place? And that is important to know depending on what you're looking at. Right? If you're looking at performance, you want the performance to be centered around a certain value. You don't want it to be all over the place and be inconsistent. You want to be able to predict what's going to happen. So as we go through, we're going to basically walk through coming up with these values and coming up with a box and whisker plot. So the first thing we're going to do is, in this table, we have marks from a previous class last semester. And we want to be able to find the median, the first quartile, Q1, and the third quartile, Q3, and the interquartile range. And so basically what I've done is I've gone through and I've written the steps to help us kind of walk through it. So the first thing we want to do is arrange from least to greatest. So we want to write out our numbers, or all these values, from least to greatest. So going through, we should start off, we have 46, 48, 58, 59, 59, 59 again, 66, 67, 60, another 67, 68, 69, 71, 73, 74, 75, 79, 80, 81, 82, 89, and 90. So there are all my values written out. Put little commas between them so it kind of helps us differentiate them, because it is just a long line of numbers. So there is my data ordered from least to greatest. The first thing we want to do now is find the median, which is also known as Q2. Right? Remember the quartiles, there were three of them that broke up our data into four equal parts. The median we know how to find based on our previous note, because the median is also a central tendency. Now there is a quick way to do it rather than counting to the middle. If I wanted to know which number or which term is my median term, I can take all of the numbers, or how many numbers there are, in which case there are 21, plus 1, divide it by 2. So the total number of numbers, there's 21 numbers, plus one more, and then divide by 2. In which case I get 11. So that means the 11th term is my median. So basically you take how many values there are, plus 1, and divide that by 2. So if I count to the 11th term, I should end up at 69. And if you're unsure about that, or if you don't quite remember the quick way to do it, again, count to the middle, and you should find that when you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, if I go the other way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I end up with 69 in the middle. So that means my median, or Q2, is 69. For the next step, the next thing we want to do is find the median of the first half of the terms. And since we already used 69, we can't use it again. And this value is called the first quartile. So I'm just going to go quickly highlight it. So the first half of our data, we know what number divides it in half, and that's 69. So the first half is all of these numbers. So I need to find the median of those two numbers. And if I'm going to go through, again, I can count to the middle. What I could also do is I could do my median term. So again, the formula that I've just done. So I know there are 10 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 plus 1 divided by 2 is 5.5. So that means the 5.5 half term is my median. Unfortunately, though, I don't have a 5.5 term, but because when I have an even number, I have to find the average of the two middle numbers. So basically, this is the average of the 5th and 6th term. So it'd be no different from then if we were trying to find it on our own. We count to the middle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We end up at 59. Count from the other end, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. End up at the second 59. So these are my two middle values. So to find out what the average is, or what the Q1, I have to add those two numbers up. So 59 plus 59 divided by 2 equals 59. So again, it doesn't really change. The middle between those two numbers would just be 59. The next step is we are going to find the median of the second half of the terms. And again, since we already used 69, we can't use it again. And this value is called our third quartile. So looking at this set of data, I found what I did was I found the middle value, 69. I found the middle value of the first half of numbers. And now I'm going to find the middle of the second half of numbers, which I've just highlighted. So just to show you the second half. And again, we're going to go through the same steps that we've just done. Let's use a different color. If you want, you could count to the middle. You could also use kind of the quick formula, the median term, so that we know there are 10 numbers. So 10 plus 1 divided by 2 equals, again, 5.5. So that term, which is, again, basically the average. Oops. Same thing as before, average of the 5th and 6th term of the second half. So if I go through and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I end up at 79. And I count the other way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I end up at 80. So these are my two middle numbers. Missing. So I have my two middle numbers. I need to find the average of those two for my Q3. So 79 plus 80 divided by 2 equals 79.5. So that is my Q3, or the middle value of the second half of my numbers. The last step is to find the interquartile range. And the interquartile range or the IQR is from Q1 to Q3. So basically it's the range, or we just mentioned it, is the difference from Q3 and Q1. And again, remember, difference means subtraction. So my Q3 was 79.5 minus my Q1, which was 59, and I get 20.5 as my interquartile range. Or basically it is where the middle half of the data sits, or the range of the middle half of the data. Next I'm going to come up or display this data in a box and whisker plot. So I have my values here. I have my number line to help me because of based on what my numbers are. So now I need to draw everything in. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to draw a line at where my Q2 is. And my Q2, or my median, was at 69. So I'm going to put a line right here and label that my Q2. Next, I'm going to draw a line at my Q1. My Q1 was at 59, so again, I'm going to draw a line right here and put Q1. My Q3 was 79.5, so I'm going to draw a line here, and Q3. These lines, and now I'm going to draw a box around, so this is going to be my box. The next thing I need to do is draw my whiskers, and the whiskers go from the box to the highest value, in which case it is 90. So I'm going to draw a whisker out to 90. And it's going to go to the lowest value, if we scroll back up, is 46. So I'm going to put a line down there and connect it with a dot. So there is my box and whisker plot. Again, remember, this is our max, and this value here was our minimum, or min. And that's our box and whisker plot for that data. Right? We just draw a line at our Q1, Q2, Q3, you make a box out of those, and then draw whiskers going to your maximum value and to your minimum value. Example 2. Rebecca works at a computer store. She records the numbers of computers that she sells each month. For the last 12 months, here her totals were listed below. Find the median, the first quartile Q1, and the third quartile Q3, and the interquartile range. So the first thing we want to do, whenever we're finding the median, is we want to put our numbers in order from least to greatest. So 6, 7, 13, 17, 20, 25, 39, 41, 43, 49, 51, and 62. So these are all of our data values, our 12 numbers, all arranged from least to greatest. The first thing we're going to do now is we are going to find our Q1. And if we count, we have 12 numbers, so we're going to have to find the average of our two middle numbers because it's an even number. So if I go to the middle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so it's going to be 25 and 39. There are our two middle numbers. So my median is going to equal 25 plus 39 divided by 2, which is 32. So my median, or my Q2, is 32. My Q1, remember, is the median of the first half of data. I've already used up the 25 and 39, so I can't use those again. So I only have 5 data points in the first half. So that means this third one here, or 13. Oh, no, sorry, my mistake. So because the actual median is not one of the values included in here, I'm not going to, or basically where it drops down right in here, right? Median is right in there. So that means the 25 is not included. So I can still use that. So what I have to do is I have to count to the middle number. And because, again, I have an even number, 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm going to look at my two middle numbers. So the 13 and the 17. Those are my two middle numbers. So 13 plus 17 divided by 2 equals 15. And then for my Q3, my Q3 is the median of the second half of numbers. So again, same idea. I'm going to be counting the third and the fourth one, so these two. So find the average of those. So 49 and plus 51 divided by 2. Oh, no, my mistake again. I miscounted because I forgot to include the 39. So the 39 is not included. The actual two middle values are your 43 and 49. So 43 plus 49 divided by 2 gives you 46. So those are your Q1, your Q1, your Q2 or median, and your Q3. If you want to find the interquartile range, or the IQR, it's your Q3 minus your Q1, or 46 minus 15, which equals 31. And again, if you wanted to draw a box and whisker plot for that, again, you could as well by labeling all those points and then connecting to the highest and lowest value. But again, the main idea here is just to get an understanding of what a box and whisker plot is, what your quartiles are and how to find them given a set of data, and basically in general what a measure of spread is and what it represents.